The big cheese comes from a small family-owned cheese factory in Kiel, Wisconsin. Hennings Cheese are the last cheesemakers in the country to produce these large wheels of cheddar known as mammoth cheeses.
There are so many great cheeses in the world. I do not have one specific flavor. There are so many great cheeses that if it's good, it's good.
The process of making a cheese the size of this mammoth cheddar and getting it from Wisconsin to Jungle Jim's is quite a challenge. Every mammoth cheddar has a unique story behind it. Let's take a look at the story behind this big cheese.
That 7,000-pound wheel of cheese that we make for Jungle Jim's is a wheel of cheddar cheese. The reason we use cheddar is because it is a fairly dry piece of cheese. Other cheeses, say like a Colby or Monterey Jack, because they're higher in moisture, the cheese would start to end up like a pear. So you want cheddar, something that's fairly dry and rigid.
The process begins with fresh milk from local Wisconsin dairy farmers. The milk is heated and cooled, and enzymes are added to the pasteurized milk. The enzymes work to break down the milk sugar and create a tangy flavor. Dye is also added to give the cheddar its yellow color. After the dye is added to the mixture, a coagulant, or rennet, is added to solidify the milk and create curds. These curds, along with the excess whey from the milk, are then pumped out, creating an almost cottage cheese-like mixture of curds and whey. The next step is to separate the curds from the whey. Compressing the curds into piles will allow the cheesemakers to squeeze out most of the whey. Then, after 5 rounds of cutting the compressed curd into sections and flipping them over, the curd's own weight helps extract most of the whey. Again, these dried cheese curds that make up this mammoth cheddar are made of 5 key ingredients.
To make this 7,000 pounds of wheel, we've got milk, we've got our bacteria culture, we've got a little vegetable coloring, we've got our coagulant, and we've got our salt. 5 ingredients to making this cheese.
Once the curd blocks are grounded up, they should be dry enough to mold together into the big cheese. All these curds are dumped into a mold and then compressed together for weeks until the cheddar block is good and hard. At this point, the cheese is waxed for better preservation and then left in a large cooler to be aged.
The cheese on a mammoth cheddar matures much faster than a normal piece of cheese because of the size. It takes longer for that wheel to cool down, so that you will have a very intense tasting piece of cheese. That's why people really enjoy having mammoth cheeses, because the flavor tends to be more intense than just off of a normal, smaller piece of cheese.
These large blocks of cheddar would age anywhere from 3 months to several years. The longer the cheddar ages, the sharper the cheddar flavor. Now, as if creating the big cheese wasn't a big enough challenge, it's time to wrap it up, load it up, ship it off, and get it into Jungle Jim's cheese world.